Hello. So I have a question that I've asked myself quite a bit since I think ChatGPT 3.5 came out. And the question was, would I read a book written by an AI? And the reason why this question came up is because on Bookstagram, I don't know if you follow me on Bookstagram, but on Bookstagram, there's so many self-help authors who have now flooded Amazon with books that are just straight up written by AI. Some of them aren't even trying to hide the fact that they did it. Some people are trying to hide the fact that they did it. So there's a lot of content that's written by AI. And realistically, unless you're reading like known scholars, but even then, I think like the number of journal articles that has been published that have evidence of AI-assisted writing or just straight up AI writing is up. Some people say it's as much as 1%. Some people say it's as much as 10%. I don't really know because I haven't looked into it. But so even then, maybe your scholar's lying, right? Your trusted scholar's lying and they're using AI to write. Eventually, you're going to get tricked at one point, right? There's no way to know that AI isn't responsible for writing what you have read. So the question then came to me is, well, would I even read, like, it's inevitable, would I even read something written by an AI? And I think the answer is yes, but it depends. So the first point I want to bring up is that I probably wouldn't go out of my way to buy something written by ChatGPT. ChatGPT hallucinates a lot still. I use ChatGPT to tutor myself in math quite a bit, and sometimes it gives me the wrong answer for very straightforward equations. And when I ask it, well, are you sure that that's the correct? It goes, oh yeah, sorry, this is the correct version. And that's just with math, but it's a strong point. When it comes to other things, I've seen it hallucinate things, asking it simple questions, whether it's grammar questions for learning another language, or it's asking questions about factual data. It can hallucinate a lot still, right? So that's one of the reasons why I probably wouldn't read a book written by ChatGPT, is that it has a tendency to hallucinate. And then you could say, well, then someone who fact-checked everything, but then at that point, why don't you just write the book yourself? So I probably wouldn't read something written by ChatGPT. Now, if you had another kind of AGI, right, that was smarter, more creative, more talented, just way better at writing than humans were, yes, I would read a book written by such an artificial intelligence. I'd probably have the AI coach me on everything so I could be useful to it, right? I wouldn't want to just use it for my own benefit and not be useful to it. So in that case, I would. And that actually then brings the question, well, if we had such an artificial intelligence, what would be the point of even reading human works, right? And this is a question that hits personal to me because I like to write. And I think I would still write even if nobody bought my books. I'm fortunate enough to have enough money in my life where I don't need to earn my living through writing. And so I can write as a passion, and also I can try and make a living from it. But I write mostly as a passion, right? And so for me, this idea that an AI could immediately shut my book out of any potential readers because it's so intelligent and so smart is a bit of a personal topic for me, right? So I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like on the one hand, I like to read nonfiction and I like to get as accurate information as possible. And so I'd probably pick the AGI over any human writers when it comes to nonfiction topics. Almost across the board, I probably would pick the AI. And then when it comes to personal topics, if this AGI is truly like super intelligent, yada, 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 I'm not sure what a human could do that AGI couldn't offer. And so there might only be a few authors who I'm willing to read outside of the AGI. I'm thinking immediately of like a timeless classic, like Roman history writers. I'd probably read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, Augustine's Confessions, these kinds of books that are more aesthetically oriented, but also important cultural pieces, I would probably read. And I don't know, it would be really difficult to find current works that would then stand to be timeless classics, like cultural classics, like Herodotus's Histories or something like this. Those are probably the only books written by humans that I would read. Like another way of like rephrasing this is maybe like, if chimpanzees could write books, would I read them? And I think I would probably read a couple. It wouldn't be like 85% of my reading. It might be like 5 or 10% of my reading I would read, just out of pure curiosity, right? Like, what the heck does a chimpanzee think? How does their perception influence their writing? What kind of philosophy of mind would they come up with? Stuff like this, right? That would be really interesting to see. And even though, again, going back to the super powerful AGI, it could probably simulate the mind of a chimpanzee, but I would rather just get it from the primary source in this case. It's more authentic. So yes, I would still read books written by humans, even in the context of the super AGI, but it would be very limited to a specific subset of books. Which brings me to another point here that I think is important to bring up on this topic, which is I like readers. I'm sorry, I like writers. I also like readers, but I like writers. I like to support writers. I love what they do. And so I don't want them to disappear from society, right? I want people to still write, and I want them to be able to make a living off their writing. So in my head, what would be like the best thing for writers is if that they could come together and contribute to their own AIs. Like writers could feed their own AIs. And then basically a guild of writers builds this AI, and this AI uses their ideas. And the ideas get laterally carried, so to speak, by generation, from the AI, as opposed to writers. Actually, no, it's the other way around. Writers can laterally carry ideas, right? They can pass ideas on from one generation to another, right? From writer to writer to writer. Instead, what you could have is the writers pass their ideas to the AI, and the AI informs the next generation of writers what the previous ones wrote, and then it takes the information in, and it continues, right? It keeps going back to this central point, as opposed to ideas being laterally carried throughout time. I think that would be a much better future of writing that would allow for writers to continue to do what they do. So I don't think writers will be completely displaced by AI either, given the fact that, right, because the concern is if people like me who buy bunches of books won't actually read writers once the AIs become sophisticated enough, what is the solution? Well, the solution is for writers to then come together, like the Chicago School of Thought or whatever, and produce their own AI and feed it with their own ideas, right? That's something that you can do. So with that being said, let me know what you think about this topic. I would love to hear your thoughts. It's a pretty controversial topic. It's a pretty emotionally deep topic for readers and writers alike. And I would love to have some back and forth with you on this, because my mind is not completely made up on this topic. And I want to write something about it in the future, but this is going to be like years from now. But with that being said, guys, bye-bye.